Well, looking at markets at the moment, still really struggling to gain upward traction, but lots of positive news coming through on the economic front. We were chatting with Irene a little earlier on in the show about the new growth forecast that's come through for the country, 5.2% by 2010. Surely lots of optimism for the markets to ride on today.
There's plenty of optimism. I expect Kenya GDP to come in the order of about 5%. This is a significant step change from the last 2 years, which were 1.7 and 2.6. And I think, there's plenty of optimism that we can actually gain further traction on the GDP front in 2011. With regard to the stock market, we've had a little bit of a pullback period, as you pointed out, but a lot of it can be laid at the feet of Safaricom, which actually peaked at 610 on 5 August, is now at 470. Biggest capitalization stock, has put the indices under pressure.
Well, not only Safaricom, I mean, there's quite a bit of individual company news bits that's stealing attention. And amongst that, East African Breweries, I mean, after it reported that 10% profit hike a couple of weeks ago, it's coming under some pressure now, given the fact that the alcohol control bill has been passed into law. What exactly are we looking at here? And just how much pressure do you see this putting on East African Breweries from a competition perspective?
Your point is well made. Investors have got a little bit nervous once this legislation was passed. It's putting pressure on EABL in 2 places. First of all, there is now a restriction that you cannot have any bars within a certain distance of schools. And there are a lot of bars, small bars all around the country. And there is a sense that this will reduce some of the throughput for EABL. And then the second thing is that the legislation is empowering microbreweries. It's now legitimizing what was below the radar, the very low-cost home-brewed alcohol, and it's trying to bring it above the radar. And this has been the fastest-growing segment of EABL's portfolio, the Senator brand, which has been targeting this area. So 2 points of pressure, I think, more than offsetting what were better than consensus full-year results and the excitement around the Serengeti, Tanzania acquisition.
Of course, the East African Brewery saw a 14% increase in the consumption of its low-priced Senator beer last year. What makes things a little trickier even still, Aly-Khan, is that the law also bans billboards and other media campaigns. I mean, just how much of a challenge for East African breweries is this from a marketing perspective?
Well, I mean, they're one of the biggest marketing spenders in our country, and I think it's obviously going to put some kind of pressure on them. They're very dependent upon that. I think, it's a lifestyle it's a lifestyle thing, and if you can't sort of sell the lifestyle in the way you want to, it does put pressure, I think, on your volumes going forward.
I guess the flip side is that they save on costs, down that avenue as well. Let's turn attention to Access Kenya, actively traded with 1.4 million shares having been traded on Friday. And it also improved 5.8% to 18 shillings 25 in Friday's session. We've, of course, seen this company receive shareholder approval to complete the buyout of its IT subsidiary OpenView Business Systems. How much of this transaction was already in the price, though, Aly-Khan?
I think all of it was in the price. The second leg of the transaction was at a significantly lower price than this first 70%. So it's just tidying up loose ends. We're about 20% off the 2010 low. We're closer to the low for the year than the high for the year. It remains under pressure because operationally you've had full year results which weren't so strong, and then you had the half year results which were a little bit weaker as well. So I think investors are looking for something to hang their hat on. The bounce that we saw on Friday, I think, was from an oversold position, and there was obviously a good block of shares available, and someone chose to take those up. For now, I don't see the price running away. I know there's been some talk of a potential takeover, but I think that is not really that's not really a true story for now.
Aly-Khan, what kind of leverage do you see Access Kenya going to enjoy from this tie-up? Because it comes at a price tag of 40 million shillings, and how soon do you see those benefits starting to filter through?
Well, I'm not so sure this is their core competency. I'm not so sure that, what this business was trying to deliver for them, basically allowing companies to outsource their IT services. has been delivered yet. I'm not so sure that it's going to be delivered in the next 6 months. I think it might take a little bit longer than that. So I'm prepared to wait and see on the sidelines before I get excited about the share price.
I know a company that you are getting a bit excited about is Scan Group. It's eyeing Africa growth with Ogilvy, and that be a move being rewarded by the markets. Run us through developments as you're seeing it unfold on that front.
Well, it looks a little bit expensive now on a trailing P of about 30, but it's been a tremendous run up. I would be a little bit more cautious about it, but essentially Scan Group it's a transformative situation that they've put themselves in, and what they've done is they've acquired Ogilvy, which had a Pan-African business, minority shareholdings, but they can obviously take those up to majority shareholdings. They quickly converted that into a win by winning the Airtel account, which was a significant win in the order of about $20 million US, I believe, across Africa. So really, investors wanted to get a piece of this action. You know, this is one of the only listed shares I can find north of South Africa that is in this advertising media space. And I think nearly everybody and their dog understands that this is one growth curve that's just going up in one direction as more and more corporates, domestic and international, seek to impose their footprint on the region. Of course, and they're riding that wave.
Of course, that's the point to be highlighted, because this partnership with WWP is going to give it a leverage in terms of pulling clients its way, even if it is simply by way of familiarity, right?
There are not many people who can have Martin Sorrell knock on the door and take them in. And I think, you know, that's quite something. Bharat is very sharp. He's actually a bit of a Martin Sorrell clone. It's the same business that Bharat is doing. It's the same logic. And the one thing that's going to keep the share price up is a very small free float of shares. WPP have locked up about 27%. Most, you know, there's very limited supply, and hence we've had this amplified move. I don't see a sharp correction because there's just not enough shares around.